We have a reading today by Mark Nepo. It's called The Art of Facing Things. Salmon have much to teach us about the art of facing things. In swimming up waterfalls, these remarkable creatures seem to defy gravity. It's an amazing thing to behold. A closer look reveals a wisdom for all beings who want to thrive. What the salmon somehow know is how to turn their underside from center to tail into the powerful current coming at them, which hits them squarely, and the impact then launches them out and further up the waterfall, to which their reaction is, again, to turn their underside back into the powerful current that, of course, again hits them squarely, and this successive impact launches them further and further along their unlikely journey. From a distance, it seems magical, as if these mighty fish are flying, conquering their element. In actuality, they are deeply at one with their element, vibrantly and thoroughly engaged in a compelling dance of turning toward and being hit squarely that moves them through water and air to the very source of their nature. In terms of the life of the spirit, the salmon are constantly faithful in exposing their undersides to the current coming at them. Mysteriously, it is the physics of this courage that enables them to move through life, as they know it so directly. We can learn from this very active paradox, for we too must be as faithful to living in the open if we are to stay real in the face of our daily experience. In order not to be swept away by what the days bring, we too must find a way to lean into the forces that hit us so squarely. The salmon offer us a way to face truth without shutting down. They show us how leaning into our experience, though we don't like the hit, moves us on. Time and again, though we'd rather turn away, it is the impact of being revealed through our willingness to be vulnerable that enables us to experience mystery, grace, and growth. So, who remembers those growing pains? Anybody? Anybody from, I remember when I was a kid, right? Those pre-adolescent aches in your body, and especially they seem to show up in my legs. And I remember as a kid going to my mom and complaining that my legs hurt. And you know what she said? Her counsel was, honey, you are having growing pains. And I was. My body was growing. My muscles were working hard. And at times it hurt. It really hurt. That kind of pain ended years ago. The pain that was caused by the physical growth of my body has ended. But for me, growing pains have not. Today, that minefield of achy legs has given way to growing pains that I feel in the stretching in my heart, sometimes in the throbbing in my head as new neural pathways are being formed, as I find fresh ways of considering the world and my way of being in it. The process of becoming a minister for me, all of the seminary studies, the examination of faith and belief, and the public presentation of this evolving persona is quite aptly called formation. Through this process, I continue to be reformed so that I can be open to the movement of spirit in my life, so that I can grow into a self that is able to use my life as a way that is hopefully of service to others. And being reformed, opening myself in this way can hurt. This whole journey of becoming from the initial thought to discernment and following through to engage in all of the necessary aspects of becoming a minister has presented me with lots of opportunity for growth. And accompanying that growth at times has been growing pains. And I think that there's a parallel to whatever your journey might be, whatever that initial thought is, the discernment to make a choice and then following through. Sometimes those decisions can be challenging and they can be painful. Becoming a minister has asked me to open myself to those around me. In seminary, it was my professors and peers. It was also my family, my colleagues, and to those that I have come to serve in ways that I might not have done otherwise. Following this path has required inviting vulnerability to join me on this journey in order to be able to see things about myself that I cannot see on my own. This process of becoming has asked me to share who I am with you, the real me. I'm being asked to step into my power, to own the call to ministry that has brought me here. This is one of the most profound gifts that community has to offer to each one of us. The opportunity to help one another see themselves more clearly, to be able to step into the fullness of who you are. A message that we hear in this place with great frequency that we've heard several times this morning is that we are enough, just as we are. We are enough and we are welcome here. We are welcome here and invited to bring all of who we are, the joys and the sorrows, the mix-ups, the what we might call mistakes, the brokenness and our wholeness, all of us. We are enough just as we are. A particularly valuable gift that I received during my internship was the awareness of the importance of reconciling the parallel thoughts of, yes, I am enough just as I am, with the thought, I can be more. Oh, exploring that combination has been a source of several growth spurts during my life. I like the idea that I'm enough just as I am, but becoming more? Too often I fell for the notion that such a thought negated the idea that I was already enough. I continue to work to hold both thoughts in place at once. I am enough. I can be more. But during my internship, when these two ideas became so very present to me, well, let me tell you, I felt myself stretching, really stretching, physical sensations. I felt movement in my chest. For a period of several weeks, I was doing this a lot. I just felt something going on. I felt my head ready to explode at times as I worked to hold those two thoughts at the same time. You see, in many ways, I am a very private person, and I like to present an image of perfection more than I like to admit. Public vulnerability is a challenge. I think the reason for this veneer is rooted in wells of shame and fear that I have yet to fully empty. As a kid, I shaped my identity and at times my safety around my intelligence and not stirring the pot in any obvious fashion. I learned to navigate life by being what I thought others wanted me to be, and by keeping blinders on to some of the chaos that swirled around me. If I called attention to my father's drinking, my parents' divorce, and later my income, or the fact that I didn't go to college until I was in my 40s, I felt ashamed. I feared that I was not enough. It was much easier to do what I knew I could do. Keep my head down and go with the flow rather than push myself to explore too far afield. Well, the problem with that strategy was that life continued to call to me, calling me to be more. Resisting the call hurt, but for a time was the safer path to take, until the hurt of resisting became stronger than the pain that resulted by answering the call to growth and change. There were times when the intensity of these thoughts translated into real physical sensations that hurt. I thought long and hard about the ways that I could stop the pain. Sleeping more could work. Eating more might suppress the pain. But instead of turning to methods that could numb what I was feeling, I chose a new response. Like the salmon, I decided to lean into the discomfort, to witness it, to see what I might learn by moving through it. I learned to trust my vulnerability. I began to see my discomfort as a friend. I found ways to expose my tender underbelly and hit the discomfort head on so that, like the salmon, I could use that energy to propel myself upstream. What stopped me at times was getting sucked into old patterns of using the idea that I can be more as a weapon rather than an invitation. Shame and fear continued to present me with stumbling blocks. Resting in the archives of my life are a collection of old tapes. You may have some too. Old ways of being that translate the idea that I can be more into only hearing that I am not enough. And those are two very different expressions. I can be more and I am not enough. My work of reforming myself has been to take that inner journey to see if I can find the source of the voices that tell me that I am not enough, and once identified and named, to then reframe the experience and celebrate the fact that, yes, I can be more. When my children came to me with their own growing pains, I knew I could not stop their pain by stopping their physical growth. I mean, it was ridiculous to even consider that. I could not have done so if I had wanted to. So then I had to ask myself, why on earth would I want to stop myself from answering life's call? Why would I want to stop myself from living into the growth that life was asking of me, even if it hurt a bit to do so? So like the salmon, I continue to open myself up to take the hit, hopefully to take a direct hit to ensure that I'm getting the best use out of it. And I think on some level, we all know that all of life is growth and change, even through the act of dying. We can embrace and welcome growth, owning it as our natural element, or we can try to stunt our growth. But to do so has its own consequences. And it is not just individuals who experience growing pains. Look at the world around us. Spirit is calling our collective beings to grow and transform our systems, transform our ways of being with one another. The kind of change and growth that is being called for hurts. The hurt and pain can be lessened if we choose to face it squarely. Our own beloved Unitarian Universalist faith is experiencing all kinds of growing pains as we as an organization work to turn and face our own ways of being, as we seek to actually live our ideals by doing the work of self-introspection and seeking to change the ways we do business. And you, my friends, how are you being asked to grow? Let's take a few moments now to consider just that. Settle yourself into a comfortable position if you're not already there. Close your eyes if you like. Mark Nepo, the author of our earlier reading, invites you to sit quietly and meditate on the last time you opened yourself to the life coming at you. In recalling this, try to focus on 3 things, and I'll do them one at a time so you have a little bit of time to think about it. Think about the ways that opening yourself caused you to unfold. Think about the way that being hit squarely with that call to change changed your life position. And to stay focused on our imagery, think about where leaping like a salmon landed you. Breathe steadily and invite the lessons of opening, being changed, and landing into your heart. Breathe slowly and realize that you are in this very process right now. Relax and turn the belly of your heart toward this day. Recognize just how very resilient you are. We'll breathe into that for a moment as we then offer up our closing video, Resilient by Rising Appalachia.